I'm the Philosophical Bachelor, and today I want to reflect on the dialectical movement. The following is an act of theory fiction, a text I prepared for a fictional conference which is upcoming in March and April this year. Preamble to the minutes of the 77th Trans-Ideological Congress for Constructive Divisiveness. Is contradiction an inescapable feature of the human condition? The Trans-Ideological Congress for Constructive Divisiveness was born out of contradiction in 1945, as a reaction to a year when the world experienced its greatest acts of violence, but also its greatest initiative for peace, with the atomic cataclysm of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, followed by the formation of the United Nations. Hope, despite catastrophe, as a phoenix rising from the flames, the yin and the yang. Contradictions abound, but it need not, it must not, lead to existential despair or nihilism. The agora of ancient Athens would be by an insignificant dusty place if not for its daily hosting of the constitutive event of modern civilizations, the meeting of minds. What is logos if not for dialogos? What is the point of words if they remain unspoken and unheard? The primal need for human beings to communicate and be understood by one another is the font of our intellectual heritage. From dialogue comes the art of the dialogue, the dialectic. 2,400 years later, we continue to marvel at the finesse Socrates displays when he interrogates his interlocutors. By asking the right questions, he solicits not truth, but the attitude of truth-seeking. Socrates' gift to humankind is not knowledge, for as he claims, he has none. Indeed, he often leaves his conversation partners not with ataraxia, which is tranquility, but with aporia, which is doubt, perhaps in a state more confused than when they began their dialogue. But when a flame has been lit, surely not all, but at least a few, small in number, but large of heart, cannot help but continue Socrates' veritable legacy, the spirit of inquiry. However, the dialogical method still has not found its full expression in the Platonic dialogues because they are for the most part monologues. Nonetheless, they gave humankind a good start, for if you do not ask the right questions, you will not get the right answers. Discourse continued, but the modern dialectical method has to await Immanuel Kant's critical analysis. To develop transcendental idealism, the a priori conditions of conscious experience, he puts forward four antinomies of infinity versus finitude of space and time, of atomism or not, of free will versus determinism, and of God or not. Nothing but the hardest intellectual challenges will suffice. Antinomies are positions diametrically opposed to each other, which can be equally validly argued for, making reason seem divided against itself, and leaving the question it attempts to answer seem irresolvable. Kant may technically have answered the question of the antinomies, but his solution is dissolution. He tells us that we simply have to set limits to our understanding, since we are unable to look beyond the horizon of our consciousness. According to Kant, we cannot know the noumena, since all we can cognize is phenomena. But humankind is not about to go gentle into that good night of solipsistic, skeptical ignorance. Instead, they rage against the dying of the light. Wir müssen wissen, wir werden wissen. We must know, we will know, they seem to cry. Dialectics find its contemporary expression in Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel's phenomenology. His concept of aufhebung or sublation captures the phases of the dialectical movement, which is to negate or cancel, which is the opposition or contradiction that each stage of theoretical development eventually confronts, to preserve where some aspects of the earlier stages are preserved in later stages, and to raise up where a new stage is reached, a progress from previous stages. Exemplifying his own concept, Hegel contests Kant's transcendental idealism. He argues that it is possible to know the noumena since in the limit case when we cognize nothing, because there is in reality nothing there, and we have cognized that nothingness, it is then a nothingness that has content, a determinate nothing. The negativity of limits in Kant as a knowledge horizon has become a positive and productive source of knowledge in Hegel. In the 200-odd years since Kant's critique of pure reason, humankind has also made strides in some of the antinomous axes. The second antinomy was demonstrated to horrifying effect. Mushroom clouds shall forever scar our collective memories. In the footsteps of Kant, the Congress proposes a new set of antinomies for the 21st century, examining the theses and antitheses presented by the delegates from the sovereign nations of primitivism versus accelerationism, localism versus internationalism, utopianism versus dystopianism, optimism versus pessimism, and enchantment versus alienation. These axes cover key ideological polarities and theoretical attitudes important to global citizenry, informing how we view ourselves as individuals and as societies, and selected to meet the vital contestations of our epoch. The work of the Congress is propelled by the Hegelian dialectical movement as much as the spirit of Carneades' mission to Rome. In 155 BC, representatives of three schools of Athenian philosophy, the Stoics, the Peripatetics, and the Platonic Academy, were sent on an embassy to Rome. Scholarch of the Academy, Carneades, delivered a lecture praising justice with great effect, leaving the Romans convinced of the virtues of justice, only to dazzle and scandalize them the following day with another convincing speech, this time arguing the folly of justice. The Academy had by this time undergone its skeptical turn. Skepticism in its original meaning meant inquiry and investigation, though we may be more familiar with the Pyrrhonic understanding of skepticism as questioning the very possibility for knowledge. Rather than dismaying at the possibility of knowing or an uncritical acceptance or rejection of dogma, an openness to charitably understand and interpret opposing views encourages pursuit of truth is a motivation for the Congress. After all, is not the test of a first-rate intelligence the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function? While the Congress does not aim to build consensus or arrive at resolutions, it seeks to clarify and sometimes escalate divergences between belief systems in order to gauge trajectories of probable conflict and avert future cataclysmic fallouts. An exercise in upending entrenched dogmas about the relative values of unity and division, harmony and conflict, through constructive discourse, the Congress invites its participants to ponder the schisms and crises of our times in a spirit of sincere curiosity and inquiry, shifting the discourse away from paralytic states of denial and anxiety towards courage, wonder, and hope. The dialectical movement ineluctably rolls on. Thank you.